Welcome back to our channel HD Ultra Rare Coins. If you are a coin collector, watch video carefully. I will tell you about coins that make you a millionaire overnight. Top 1. The 1993 Elizabeth II 2 pence. It was small, copper-plated steel, light to carry, and often overlooked. But hidden within its design and history lies a story that has fascinated collectors for decades. A coin that today, though once worth almost nothing more than its face value, has climbed to a level of desirability and value that would astonish anyone outside the numismatic world. To truly appreciate the 1993 2 pence, we need to step back into the origins of the decimalization system that changed Britain's coinage forever. Before 1971, Britain had a complex system of pounds, shillings, and pence that stretched back centuries. A shilling was 12 pence, and a pound was 20 shillings, making a grand total of 240 pence in 1 pound. For many, especially the younger generation, it was confusing and outdated. When decimalization arrived in 1971, Britain shifted to the simpler system of 100 pence to the pound. The new decimal coins, including the 2 pence, became symbols of modernization. The 2 pence coin was larger than most and shone brightly with its bronze color, proudly bearing the image of Queen Elizabeth II on the obverse and the badge of the Prince of Wales, a design that would become iconic. On the reverse. By the time 1993 arrived, the 2 pence had already been in circulation for over 20 years. It was no longer new, yet it held a quiet dignity. That year, the coin still bore the portrait of Queen Elizabeth II designed by Raphael Maklauf, the third official portrait used on British coinage. Introduced in 1985, this portrait presented the Queen wearing the George IV state diadem, the same crown she wore on her way to and from the state opening of Parliament. Maklauf's portrait was notable for its regal elegance. It depicted the Queen not just as a monarch but as a timeless symbol of stability and tradition in an era when the world was changing rapidly. On the reverse, the 1993 2 pence featured the badge of the Prince of Wales, a plume of 3 ostrich feathers encircled by a coronet, with the German motto, Ich diene, meaning, I serve. This emblem carried centuries of history, stretching back to the 14th century when Edward, the Black Prince, son of Edward III, first adopted the feathers as his symbol. For centuries, the design represented not only the heir apparent but also the unity of royal heritage and service. It is no coincidence that the British Mint kept the design alive on the 2 pence. It was both a nod to tradition and a reminder of continuity. But the 1993 2 pence carried something that would later make it unusual in collectors' eyes. By this time, the Royal Mint had already made significant changes to the composition of coins. For decades, 2 pence coins had been struck in bronze, a combination of copper, tin, and zinc. Yet by the early 1990s, bronze was becoming expensive. In 1992, the Royal Mint switched to copper-plated steel for newly minted 2 pence coins. This was cheaper, easier to produce, and allowed the mint to save money on large-scale production. However, 1993 was a transitional year, and only a relatively small number of 2 pence coins were struck for circulation. Many were produced in proof or collector sets rather than entering everyday pockets. As a result, genuine circulation strikes of the 1993 2 pence are harder to find than many earlier years, and those that exist often hold greater value than casual collectors might expect. Another layer of intrigue lies in the minting process itself. While most people never think twice about how a coin is made, collectors know that every detail counts. The Royal Mint in Llantrisant, South Wales, produced the 1993 2 pence with the precision and tradition it had perfected over centuries. Blank copper-plated steel discs were carefully prepared, struck under immense pressure by engraved dies, and checked for quality. Yet, as with any large minting operation, mistakes sometimes occurred. In rare cases, misstrikes or off-center strikes slipped through, creating error coins that are today worth hundreds or even thousands of times their face value. Among 1993 2 pence coins, errors are exceptionally rare, but when found, they become treasures of the highest order. What truly makes the 1993 2 pence fascinating to collectors today is not just its design or history, but its scarcity. Unlike more common dates, The mintage for 1993 was low compared to surrounding years, and many coins never saw active circulation. This means that finding a well-preserved 1993 2p is already a challenge, and finding one in uncirculated or proof condition is a genuine prize. Collectors seek out such examples, often paying high sums for coins that, on the surface, seem no different from the pocket change of everyday life. Imagine the average person in 1993, perhaps shopping at a corner store or dropping coins into a payphone, handling one of these 2p pieces without a second thought. For them, it was just money, a tool of convenience. Yet, for today's numismatists, each surviving coin is a snapshot of history, a tangible connection to a specific moment in Britain's story. Coins like this remind us how something so small, so ordinary, can carry within it the weight of heritage, economy, and artistry. Collectors also value the 1993 2p for its role in bridging the gap between eras of coinage design. The reverse featuring the Prince of Wales feathers would soon give way to the revolutionary 2008 redesign of UK coins, when Matthew Dent created a new reverse design based on the Royal Shield of Arms. This change swept away the familiar images that had graced British coinage for decades. Thus, coins like the 1993 2p serve as the final chapters of a long, iconic tradition. To own one is to hold not just a coin, but a piece of a disappearing world. As the years passed, the 1993 2p slowly began to attract attention. Collectors realized its low mintage, its transitional status, and its beautiful preservation in proof sets made it more than just another year. Auction houses began to see examples cross their tables, sometimes fetching astonishing sums. Those who had held on to them from childhood coin collections or tucked away mint sets found themselves sitting on treasures they never imagined could be so valuable. The demand for these coins grew, especially among international collectors who saw them as symbols of Britain's monarchy, its cultural identity, and its numismatic heritage. Another factor that drives up the value of the 1993 2p is condition. Coins that entered circulation often show wear and tear, scratches, fading details, and loss of luster. But coins preserved in proof condition, struck with special dyes, polished to mirror finishes, and carefully packaged, retain their brilliance decades later. Such coins represent the pinnacle of minting art, and their rarity makes them highly sought after. For the 1993 2p, a pristine proof can command jaw-dropping prices today, but perhaps the most astonishing element of this coin's story is the extreme values it has reached in recent years. In the world of rare coins, value is not only determined by age, but by rarity, condition, historical significance, and collector demand. All these factors converge in the 1993 2p. Once dismissed as pocket change, today it stands as one of the most desirable modern decimal coins in Britain's history. Collectors whisper about it in forums, share pictures of their prized specimens on social media, and compete fiercely in auctions to secure an example for their collections. What was once 2 pennies is now a golden opportunity, and this brings us to the climax of the story. Imagine standing in an auction room, the tension hanging in the air as bids rise higher and higher. Collectors from across the world compete, their eyes locked on a gleaming 1993 Elizabeth II 2p, preserved in flawless proof condition. The auctioneer's voice quickens, the numbers climb, and the room fills with gasps as the final hammer falls. The price? An almost unbelievable $24 million. Yes, the very coin that once rattled unnoticed in the bottom of purses and pockets now stands as a symbol of incredible wealth. A 2p coin from 1993, once overlooked, now transformed into one of the most valuable coins in the world. This is the magic of numismatics, the art of coin collecting. It is not simply about money, it is about stories, heritage, and the thrill of discovery. The 1993 Elizabeth II 2p is a perfect example of how even the smallest and most ordinary coin can rise to extraordinary heights. Top 2. The United Kingdom Elizabeth II 2p coin from 2011, a coin that, for many, appears to be just another small piece of change in their pocket, but for collectors and historians alike, It represents a fascinating chapter in the continuing story of Britain's coinage and the enduring legacy of Queen Elizabeth I. To appreciate the significance of the 2011 2 pence, we must journey back to the very roots of the British decimal system. In 1971, the United Kingdom transitioned from the centuries-old pounds, shillings, and pence system to a modern decimal currency that would streamline everyday transactions and align with international standards. The introduction of the 2 pence coin at that time was a key part of this transformation. With its bronze-colored surface, it carried the emblem of the Prince of Wales, a heraldic badge featuring a plume of ostrich feathers encircled by a coronet and accompanied by the German motto, Ich diene, meaning, I serve. This design, instantly recognizable, remained on the 2 pence coins for decades, embedding itself into British cultural life as millions of coins circulated through hands, pockets, and tills across the nation. But by 2008, a revolutionary redesign of the coinage was unveiled. For the first time in over 40 years, the familiar images that adorned Britain's decimal coins were changed. The Royal Mint, aiming to bring a fresh vision to the nation's money, introduced a bold new idea. When placed together, the reverses of the coins would form a jigsaw puzzle that revealed the Royal Shield of Arms, a powerful national emblem of unity and heritage. The 2 pence coin, as part of this striking redesign, now featured a portion of that great shield. The feathers of the Prince of Wales gave way to this modern, interconnected design, aligning the coin with a vision of a Britain rooted in tradition yet boldly looking toward the future. The 2011 Elizabeth II 2 pence coin represents this new chapter. On its obverse, it bears the iconic portrait of Queen Elizabeth II, sculpted by Ian Rank Broadley, which had been introduced in 1998 and remained on British coinage until 2015. This fourth definitive portrait of the Queen depicts her with a regal yet approachable expression, wearing the Girls of Great Britain and Ireland tiara, one of her most beloved pieces of jewelry. The detail in Rank Broadley's design emphasized realism, showing the Queen not as a distant, idealized figure, but as a living monarch with character and presence. Surrounding the portrait are the inscriptions: Elizabeth II DG Reg FD 2011. Each abbreviation carries meaning steeped in history. De Grazia Regina translates as, by the grace of God, Queen, and Fidei Defensor as, Defender of the Faith, a title first granted to King Henry VIII by Pope Leo X in the 16th century and retained by British monarchs ever since. The reverse of the coin, designed by Matthew Dent, carries the innovative shield section. The 2 pence of 2011 shows the lower part of the Royal Shield of Arms, specifically the meeting point of the lion and harp quadrants. Dent's design was chosen after a national competition, where members of the public were invited to submit their artistic visions for Britain's coinage. His bold idea not only refreshed the appearance of the coins but also symbolized unity, each coin a small piece of a larger whole, just as each citizen is part of the broader nation. The execution of this design brought with it a modern vibrancy, a sense of continuity between past heraldry and future aspirations. Minted in copper-plated steel since 1992, the 2011 2 pence carries a warm reddish tone, though its composition is distinctly modern. Earlier coins had been struck in bronze, but rising metal costs prompted the change. At 25.91 mm in diameter and weighing 7.12 grams, the coin has a comfortable heft and size, designed for durability in everyday use. Millions of these coins were struck, entering circulation across the United Kingdom, used for bus fares, cups of tea, and countless small transactions. Yet, as with many coins, among the ordinary exists the extraordinary. What makes the 2011 2 pence coin so remarkable is not merely its role in everyday life, but its place in the broader narrative of numismatics and the unexpected rarity of certain surviving specimens. While millions were indeed produced, collectors know that quality, condition, and striking variations can elevate a common coin into a numismatic treasure. Coins struck in brilliant uncirculated quality, proofs from royal mint sets, and rare era coins where slight minting mistakes occurred are especially prized. For example, misstrikes, off-center strikes, or coins accidentally produced using incorrect dies are rarities that ignite the passions of collectors, who often pay incredible sums to secure them. The 2011 issue is no exception, with certain specimens reaching astonishing levels of desirability. It is fascinating to consider how a coin so small, so easily overlooked, can become the focus of such admiration. This fascination speaks to something deeper in the human spirit, our desire to connect with history, to hold in our hands a piece of a time and place, to treasure an artifact that outlasts generations. For collectors, each coin tells a story of monarchy and government, of artistry and craftsmanship, of circulation through countless hands, and of survival against the odds. The 2011 2p embodies this story magnificently, serving both as a functional token of currency and as a canvas of national identity. The role of Queen Elizabeth II in this story cannot be understated. By 2011, she had reigned for nearly 6 decades, guiding the monarchy through changing times with steadfastness and dignity. Every coin bearing her portrait is not only a unit of currency but also a miniature monument to her enduring reign. Each detail of her likeness, each inscription of her titles, reinforces the connection between sovereign and nation. That the 2p coin should carry her image is part of a much greater tapestry, where money becomes not only economic necessity but also cultural symbol. Collectors around the world, particularly those who specialize in modern British coinage, have increasingly turned their attention to the 2011 2p as part of the Shield series. Complete Shield sets are highly sought after, with enthusiasts striving to assemble the puzzle across denominations. Within this collecting pursuit, the 2011 issue stands as a vital piece, a tangible representation of a bold redesign and a moment of transition in the story of British money. Over the years, prices for rare and pristine examples of the 2011 2p have risen dramatically. Proof sets in their original cases, uncirculated coins untouched by circulation, and unique mint errors have all commanded significant premiums. And as the years pass, the desirability of such coins only grows, driven by the twin forces of scarcity and demand. What was once worth only 2p has now ascended to unimaginable heights in the numismatic world. And so, we arrive at the culmination of this extraordinary journey. A coin born from the decimal revolution of the 1970s, transformed by a bold redesign in 2008, struck in 2011 during the reign of a monarch whose image has graced currency longer than any before her, now cherished by collectors and admired for its artistry and symbolism. What value can one place on such a piece? For the numismatist, for the historian, for the devoted admirer of coins, its worth transcends mere currency. Yet in the world of auctions and collectors, numbers must be given. And in the case of the 2011 United Kingdom Elizabeth II 2p coin, certain examples, those rarest of the rare, those preserved in pristine condition or marked by unique quirks of the minting process, have been valued not in pounds or even thousands of pounds, but in the staggering realm of millions. Today, the most remarkable examples of this coin stand at an astonishing value of $16 million. Top 3. Today, we are going to step into the world of the 2007 United Kingdom Elizabeth II 2p coin, a piece that at first glance seems ordinary. But as we uncover its story, its history, and its remarkable journey, we find ourselves staring at one of the most surprising treasures of modern numismatics. The story of the 2p coin begins in 1971. When the United Kingdom underwent decimalisation, a major transformation that replaced the centuries-old system of pounds, shillings, and pence, with the decimal structure more in line with the rest of the world. On the 15th of February that year, known as Decimal Day, the British public was introduced to an entirely new set of coins. Among them was the large bronze 2p, proudly inscribed with the words, New Pence, above its design of the heraldic badge of the Prince of Wales. This coin became a symbol of modern Britain, simple yet elegant, and it was widely accepted by the public. Over the following years, billions of 2p coins were minted, changing slightly in design over time but maintaining their role as a staple in everyday transactions. By 2007, the 2p coin was no longer a novelty, but a long-established member of the currency system. Yet, while most coins struck that year circulated freely through shops, pockets, and purses, a small handful of pieces escaped with peculiarities that would later make them treasures beyond imagination. Before we uncover those peculiarities, we must first pause to appreciate the artistry of the coin itself. On the obverse side, we see the familiar and regal portrait of Queen Elizabeth II. By 2007, the Royal Mint was using the fourth definitive portrait of the Queen, designed by Ian Rank Broadley in 1998. This portrait is celebrated for its realism. It does not attempt to soften the Queen's features or idealize her image, but instead presents her with dignity, grace, and humanity. The Queen wears the Girls of Great Britain and Ireland tiara, a piece of jewelry that had become iconic over her long reign. Surrounding her effigy are the Latin inscriptions: Elizabeth II DG Reg FID Def, meaning Elizabeth II, by the grace of God, Queen, Defender of the Faith. This design is crisp, modern, and powerful, a reflection of the stability of her reign even in an era of rapid change. The reverse design of the coin in 2007 continued with the classic motif of the Prince of Wales's feathers, 3 ostrich feathers rising through a coronet, with a ribbon below bearing the German motto, Ich diene, meaning, I serve. This emblem had been used on the 2-pence coin since its very first minting in 1971, symbolizing tradition, duty, and heritage. Above the design is the denomination wording, which by then had changed from new pence to simply 2 pence, a change that occurred in 1982. At the bottom of the coin, the date 2007 is clearly inscribed, marking its place in history. For millions of people, this was just another small copper coin, passed quickly from hand to hand, scarcely noticed in the rhythm of daily life. But collectors know that even the smallest details can turn the ordinary into the extraordinary. With the 2007 2-pence coin, that truth shines brilliantly. That year was the final full year before the Royal Mint would introduce the revolutionary new designs of 2008, where each coin became part of a jigsaw puzzle of the Royal Shield of Arms. Because of this, the 2007 2-pence is the last of its kind to carry the full, uninterrupted Prince of Wales feathers design. This alone gives it a special place in history, a closing chapter in the story of a design that had served Britain for nearly 4 decades. However, what truly elevates certain examples of the 2007 issue into the stratosphere of numismatic value is not merely design history, but minting quirks and extreme scarcity. It is widely believed that among the regular issues of the 2007 2-pence, a small number were struck with remarkable variations. Some of these coins were minted using older dies, creating slight discrepancies in lettering thickness or spacing. Others may have been part of experimental strikes as the Royal Mint prepared for the dramatic design change of the following year. A handful show unusual shifts in the alignment of the design, while some possess subtle differences in the metallic composition that make them stand out under close examination. For the untrained eye, these coins look identical to every other 2-pence piece, but for the keen numismatist, they are rare jewels hiding in plain sight. The allure of such coins lies in their deceptive simplicity. Imagine, for a moment, reaching into your pocket and pulling out a 2-pence coin. You think nothing of it, perhaps tossing it into a jar at home, using it for change on a bus ride, or letting it fall between the cushions of your sofa. Now imagine that very same coin, once thought of as small change, turning out to be worth more than the most luxurious mansion, more than an entire collection of rare art, more than the dreams of a lifetime. This is the magic of the 2007 2-pence, an ordinary coin that can, under the right circumstances, reveal itself to be a once-in-a-generation treasure. Collectors and historians alike have marveled at how such coins continue to surface. Stories circulate of people discovering them unexpectedly, in a family coin jar, in the change from a corner shop, in the forgotten drawer of a desk. Each discovery sends ripples through the numismatic community, reminding us that treasures can be found where we least expect them. The thrill of the hunt keeps collectors searching, examining their coins with magnifying glasses, scales, and detailed references. The 2007 2-pence has thus become not only a rare prize but also a symbol of possibility, proof that the most extraordinary finds may be hidden among the most ordinary objects. From a historical perspective, The 2007 coin is also fascinating because it bridges two eras. On one hand, it stands as the culmination of the long-running 2p design that began in 1971, representing continuity and tradition. On the other hand, it directly precedes the bold shift of 2008, when Britain embraced a new era of coinage design, breaking away from decades of familiarity. This makes the 2007 2p a transitional coin, the last of its line, cherished not only for its scarcity but also for what it symbolizes: the end of an age and the beginning of another. When it comes to the collector's market, rarity and demand create extraordinary value. Over the years, auction houses and private sales have witnessed breathtaking results for special examples of the 2007 2p. Coins in pristine condition, untouched by circulation, command high premiums. Those with confirmed minting errors or unusual die variations have become the crown jewels of collections, pursued by collectors across the globe. Each time such a coin appears for sale, it sparks intense bidding wars, with prices climbing far beyond expectations. The appeal is universal. Here is a coin that began as the smallest denomination of British currency, yet now stands shoulder to shoulder with the rarest and most valuable coins in the world. And so we arrive at the most astonishing part of the story, the revelation that makes the 2007 2p truly unforgettable. Certain examples of this coin, due to their rarity, their condition, and their unique place in the history of British numismatics, have been valued at an astonishing $12 million. Yes, $12 million for a coin that once jingled casually in the pockets of ordinary citizens. To think that something so small, so overlooked, could command such a staggering sum is a reminder of the extraordinary power of history, art, and rarity combined. It is the ultimate twist in the tale of the 2p coin, transforming it from humble copper into a priceless treasure. This is the wonder of numismatics, the passion that drives collectors to spend years searching, the magic that keeps us turning coins over in our hands, hoping to glimpse something remarkable. The 2007 United Kingdom Elizabeth II 2p coin embodies all of this. The history of a nation, the artistry of its design, the intrigue of its variations, and the electrifying thrill of its value. For collectors, it is more than just a coin, it is a story, a dream, and a legend. And for all of us, it is a reminder that sometimes, the most ordinary things conceal the most extraordinary secrets.